May it please the court, counsel's name is Lee and I appear for Mr. Tuilangi. Before proceeding, may I just confirm that Your Honor has a copy of the pre-sentence report? I'm grateful. Your Honor, my client had pled guilty to one count of assault with intent to rob, a Category 3 offense that carries with it a sentence of up to 14 years imprisonment. In light of the circumstances of the offense, I submit that my client should receive a 2-year intensive supervision. To justify this, I took an approach in Moses and Crown, which first looks at the offense starting point, followed by considering the personal circumstances of the offender and a guilty plea. Looking at the offense first, I make 2 points. Firstly, my client had disguised himself when carrying out the offense. This showed a degree of planning and premeditation, which therefore moderately aggravates the offense. Secondly, my client had adversely impacted Ms. Smith, which resulted in her deciding to install a further camera in the store and also asked her partner to visit more often to make her feel more safe. I also consider this to be a moderate aggravating factor. These factors, along with other features of the offense, have been considered by the Court of Appeal in Crown and Mako, paragraph 56, to which they have suggested a 48-month starting point. I also submit this to be the starting point, Your Honor. Moving on now to the personal circumstances and the guilty plea, I make 4 points. Firstly, my client has no previous convictions. I consider this to be a moderate mitigating factor which should warrant a 10% discount. Secondly, my client has difficult circumstances because he was struggling to pay his bills as well as provide the needs for his 2 young children and his pregnant partner. And this is because he doesn't have a job, and the COVID restrictions and the fact that he does not have a formal qualification made this more difficult for him. Moreover, the COVID restrictions meant that he could not access his familial and religious support networks. I consider his difficult circumstances to be a moderate mitigating factor that should warrant a 15% discount. Thirdly, my client had expressed his remorse by offering a letter of apology for Ms. Smith and also offering $1,000, which is more than twice the amount of what he had stolen to begin with. And this is what Ms. Smith wanted. I consider this to be a moderate mitigating factor that should warrant a 10% discount. Lastly, my client had entered into a guilty plea around the time of the case review, which is not too early but not too late either. I consider that a 15% discount would be appropriate. In total, we have a 50% discount. To calculate for the sentence, we first multiply the 48-month starting point with the 50% discount, which will give us 24 months. From here, we subtract the 24 months to the 48-month starting point, which will give us again 24 months or 2 years, and this is what counsel submits should be the amount of sentence. From here, I want to talk about why intensive supervision is appropriate. Firstly, imprisonment and home detention would not be appropriate because this would disproportionately disadvantageous for my client because amongst other things, this would deprive him of the opportunity to play in the rugby league, which may be a once in a lifetime chance, and also may deprive him of the chance to study physics in a university. Secondly, community work would also be inappropriate because this would further disadvantage my client financially, as a community work would require one to work for a decent amount of time with no pay. I therefore submit that an intensive supervision would be appropriate because this would help rehabilitate my client, and this would also be the least restrictive sentence appropriate in the circumstances. Moreover, this would also increase the chance of my client studying in a university and also allow him to play in the rugby league and earn a decent sum of money to support his family. To conclude, Your Honor, I submit that Mr. Tuilangi should receive a sentence of 2 years intensive supervision. If Your Honor doesn't have any questions, this concludes counsel's submission.